Fox News alert for you on the panic at the pump sparked by the shutdown of America's largest pipeline after a cyber attack. And now, 4 states just declared emergencies over gas shortages. This as more than 1,000 gas stations across the Southeast ran dry, leading to long lines and prices spiking to a 7-year high. Nonstop flights are having to refuel halfway, and fights are even breaking out at the pump. Check out this video from North Carolina.
Oh,
Kaylee, I'd like to start with you on this because this is all against the backdrop of the White House administration doubling down on their commitment to green energy. I'm going to play for you some comments by Secretary of Energy Granholm and get your thoughts on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously are all in on making sure that we meet the president's goals of getting to 100% clean electricity by 2035 and net zero carbon emissions by 2050. And, you know, if you drive an electric car, this would not be affecting you, clearly.
These people are absolutely amazing. So people are having massive gasoline shortages. I'm talking to people canceling their road trips. 71% of gas stations don't have gas in Charlotte. And she makes this quip about electric cars when they are directly responsible for what is happening, because it's not just the Colonial Pipeline hack. That's not just the problem. As Senator Lee said this morning, it's a trifecta. He described it well, where you have inflation. Prices were already rising because of Biden and his binge on spending. And then you have a moratorium on gas, on new leases on federal lands. And then, of course, the cancellation of the Keystone Pipeline. And Jen Psaki yesterday says, hey, we may cancel more pipelines. This as literally we're coming back from break and John Kerry goes out there and says, oh, pipelines are more energy efficient than trucking oil across the country. So we learn all of this. It's such mixed messaging. And for her to make that quip as Americans are hurting, I just thought it was totally uncalled for.
But Kaylee mentions the compounding factors as well as all of the intersecting factors, and these are what affects ordinary Americans. The lack of truckers that are available to truck the pipeline in, the fuel in, the effect on flights and on cars and plans. This is a very real issue that affects Americans in many different ways. So what are your thoughts on this and what we all need to know?
Well, it seems like the Biden administration just takes the wrong lessons from everything. I believe that's been something we've seen now from the very beginning. And of course, they canceled the Keystone XL pipeline Biden's first day with the executive order, which he didn't even talk about. So there's a clear, almost maniacal hostility from the mainstream Democrat Party now toward fossil fuels. I'd also want to ask the Energy Secretary where she thinks most of the electricity that goes into electric cars comes from. It is, in fact, not windmills. But anyway, I mean, as we see all of this coming together, as has been pointed out, this is a number of factors. It's inflation rising. It's the consumer price index going up. It's a horrible jobs report last week, over 700,000 short of what was expected. And we're spending trillions of dollars. People are starting to say it's a lot like Jimmy Carter, at least in the optics. But don't forget, Jimmy Carter actually went to the Naval Academy and served his country in a submarine. Joe Biden, I don't think he's got quite a handle on things that even Carter did. We'll see in time.
And Morgan, you know, the catalyst of this is a cyber attack. So what are your concerns here?
Yeah, well, the cyber attack is certainly concerning. I mean, we for a long time have known that we have to protect our critical infrastructure in the United States. And it's one of the reasons why you have to diversify energy supplies. But, you know, we're in a position where we're energy independent. We're a major exporter. And we're looking to do things that will change and challenge that status, which will be bad for the economy. The inflation that Buck just mentioned is really troubling because you're going to see from the basic level. So I have a friend who's in mining. They're seeing prices increase. And they mine at the bottom level of the economy, right? So they're going to in turn raise prices on the next supplier and the next level and the next level. So you come from a miner all the way up to it affecting the price of your cell phone. It's behavioral economics. You see people getting worried and going to the pump and filling up extra gas. You're going to take extra gas because you're worried that you're not going to have it. We're seeing prices increase at ports for export exports and people who are trying to move things in and out of the country. Meanwhile, we have a critical shortage of laborers at these ports and in many of these jobs. So what I'd really like to hear from the Biden administration is what's the plan? I believe climate change is real. It's important to address, but you can't try to address it at the expense of our energy independence.
And Harris, with all of the excellent questions and issues just raised by our colleagues, where is the leadership from the top down? Where is Biden on this?
Oh, well, we're not really sure where he might be, but where are the people who are around him to help him know when a crisis is about to unfold? Like when you find out that in North Carolina, and Kayleigh touched on this, 78%, as of 9 a.m. Eastern, 78% of gas stations in Greenville, Spartanburg, Asheville, Anderson, those are population hubs for industry and businesses and families. When you find out that Washington New Bern, which was my first television market, 69% of their gas stations have run dry. When you see that that's happening and then you don't take emergency action. I mean, yeah, they're putting some tankers on the road and whatnot, but emergency action means that a president engages. We just saw him in the Oval Office a short time ago. We carried it real quickly on Faulkner Focus. He didn't take any questions. He said, I only want to talk about infrastructure. Well, gas stations are infrastructure. And I don't know many that run without electricity. So you've got a collision of energy points right there and people fighting in line. If those same people remember how they feel right now and they happen to be Democrats, Katie bar the door in 2022.
Well said.